we soak up some knowledge and share some insights. We've got three amazing people here. One from a TFG perspective, one from a Puma perspective, and one from an all-round art perspective. You know, we've got Maglera Maximus, you know, Doe Boy himself. On the we've got Hayden, Hexy.
Say the whole thing. Big gorgeous.
Big gorgeous, Slim Duncan. Come on.
What's that?
Rash, do you have any other AKAs that I need to be aware of?
No, we'll keep it there. Rash Ferguson.
Rash Ferguson. And I go by the name of Kabelo Moremi, Fred Pack on the Two Sorry podcast.
Sure.
And I think today, man, it's something that we really want to go into creativity, craftsmanship, as well as heritage, you know? And I think just to have that as the icebreaker, you know, let's just speak about what craftsmanship means to each one of you and your respective fields as well. We can start with you, Maglera.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you are now tuned into Archive with my nigga Big Sexy and my favorite pause.
Hey yo!
Where do I start, dog? I mean, I think we all craft in our own way. You know, you in the space of conversation, H in the space of fashion and just pushing forward that conversation, Rash and the family same. And me, I've gotten to be a sponge for so many of these things, you know? And I think my favorite part of it is just making it high level and thinking about it and giving it to people. So yeah, I think it's a way of life. I think it's a way to express, to feel, and to bring out philosophy.
Love. Slim Duncan.
So I think craft's like a great way to become your higher self, you know. You take time, you do research. It's not just the act of doing the thing, it's the work leading up to it, you know, how you prepare, the research you do. And I think like in a world that's so full of noise and disposable things, I think craft is becoming more important, you know. Like I say, when everything's so disposable, people are going back to the roots, taking time, building things that matter, building things that say stuff. And yeah, I think that's what craft is, saying something, you know. Like when you put something out into the world, craft is like the highest form of respect because you're asking people to engage with something. So if you don't put out the best you can, it's kind of disrespectful, you know, because you're asking people for the most expensive thing in the world, which is time. You can't get that back, nobody can buy that back. So when you give somewhere, you ask somebody to engage with something, you need to make sure it's as high a level as possible. High level, you know?
High level.
Yeah, for me, I think I'll share one of my favorite quotes, and it goes like this. It says, create like a child, edit like a scientist. Shout out Tyler, the creator. And I think that quote has always just like sat with me because that's been like the story of my life. And you know, when kids create, they play. There's no like permission, there's no restraint, there's no boundaries, you just create, you know. And I think that's such an important piece of craftsmanship because before you can overthink it, before you can kind of disqualify yourself, just do it, just create and learn through the process of creating. And once you kind of find your thing by all of these different things you've created, that's when you start editing like a scientist, and that's when you start refining what you've created.
Lovely. Now, those are two big C's, right, that go hand in hand, that we mentioned, right? We mentioned craftsmanship and we mentioned crafting, and then that goes hand in hand with creativity. But then there's another C that makes things a bit tricky, right? And this is the act of commercialization with it, right? How do you make sure that they triangulate in a way that, you know, craftsmanship and creativity still maintain the roots that they are?
Yeah, I think I want this one to come this way because I want to close this one. I love this one.
Cool. I will jump into that one, seeing as I'm, you know, from the business side. I think it's a really great question, by the way, because I think a lot of people get tripped up by that, about the commerciality of the whole thing. And I think, again, anything that kind of can block your creative process will ultimately be a negative thing. But obviously in the world that we live in, we've got to pay the bills. And so what I say to that is treat it like it's a brand, right? In everything that you do. And the brand arc is a long-term arc. So don't just do something for like a quick buck, you know, because it's going to come and it's going to go. But if you do something with a long-term vision in mind, let the money follow you, don't follow the money. Because when you create out of who you are and what you do and what you're passionate about, you can do it forever.
Cool. So I was going to quote, I don't know where it's from, but they say, if you build it, they will come, right? So if you build something with craft and integrity, and it's like again the highest stuff, and it's the best product available for who you're trying to sell it to, and people buy it, it's not selling out. You know what I mean? It's commerce, and it's we can call it commerce, but it's also value exchange, right? So if you're building something that people are willing to pay a price for, then you build the triangulation, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody sells out. You only sell out when you sell out. You know? So, like if you putting out the highest level of craft and people are willing to pay the price, then that's something great. I mean, we see it now with artists like Larry Jewel or Currency. Like they'll never sell out a stadium. They'll never have a Billboard #1, but they're making millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? And they true to their craft.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things with like the type of artist I am, and like it's crazy, both of you guys saw me come up, right? There was a time when I existed in the more, can we say, finite style of art? You know, like I was making like what people would say is like experimental, niche, and you saw me find my eureka moment where it's like, oh, this is what I'm good at, and this is how I want to give it to the people, but how do I make it palatable? Because I think also something that I want a lot of guys in the crowd who create and are making their own stuff. Shout out my cousin, Pot Plant Club is the family. I think you need to not bore people with your intelligence, man, and your art. Like it's not for people to like be so attached to in terms of the process and the fact that you sat on it for weeks and whatnot. Like by the time it gets to the people, it must be consumable. You know, because we're now rooting out with you thought about how you want this thing.
Yeah.
But I think I'll take it with music and with any concept, and I'm like, the most smart person in the world is someone who knows how to take something high level and give it to a child. And the consumer is a child until they learn how to understand your product. You know, it's a restaurant and people need to know how to eat that food, what that food is called, the sauces that go with it. And now you're there, this guy walks into your restaurant, and the first thing is like, you won't even get this one. No, you must make them get it, and it must be fun for them, you know?
Beautiful, 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 love that. Now, oh yeah, we can have a round of applause for that. Now when we look at craft and you look at like where it comes from and where things, you know, stem from as well, we also then go into the pathway of heritage, you know, and the importance of incorporating heritage in your art. Would you say that is important for the act of preservation, or do you think that it's just you're just compelled to celebrate your heritage through your art?
I don't think anything is mandatory in art, you know? I do think homage is like a key element of keeping core elements of anything integral alive, you know? You should see my DMs with Aiden, not all of them, because some of them will go get us kicked out because the group chat is crazy. But I think at least 3 times a week, Aiden sends me something from olden hip hop, olden fashion, olden cartoons, and I know it's just him leaving that era that we have like what, like a 10-year difference?
Yeah.
Right?
Basically 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it's not everything that I know that Aiden knows. There are things that link us, but like, this is my dog, Aiden is really hip hop. Very. Like, he's really hip hop.
Very.
My nigga be sending me like Big Pun, you know, I've never listened to Big Pun, you know?
That's surprising.
Ah, if you can't come on, I
put him on to Grand Puma the other day.
Crazy. You put me on to who again?
Grand Puma.
Yeah, and then like some of these guys, when he sends it, it will be too much for my lexicon. But regardless, it does something to go fetch from that homage. But I do think also, when you see your brother Cooper and the boys, look at how he pays homage. That is like, he found a way to put it in the now design.
Yeah.
You know, and no one applauds when they do it as much as they do. Sometimes because they don't see like, oh, this is actually a cultured kid. But he didn't take it and make like boom boom che. No, he put it on now's BPM. He put it on now's slang. You know, so I think it's in between. I think like at the end of the day, young dudes and like young ladies should do what they want, bro. I think the art will tell you where to go after.
Ah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, Rash, I mean, I think with this space over here, you guys have done a beautiful job of preserving culture and also celebrating it as well. Just looking at how you identify key collaborations that you guys do and who you let into the space from an art perspective, from a clothing perspective. How do you just spot that talent, and what is the catalyst to making a decision that we're going to say, okay, we are going to do an art project with this artist and we are going to make a grasshopper, it's archiving grasshopper. What makes you go into that space?
So I think it ties in quite nicely with the heritage conversation, right? Because it's not about someone who like just started, I think those people have a place and a part to play in the whole kind of ecosystem. But when you want to partner with someone, bring somebody in and kind of together create a product that's elevated, they got to get some runs on the board, right? So people who have been around, who've been doing things, who've been like, I've like for the last 10 years, there's another quote that says it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. And sometimes when you do something in a elevated environment where you're inviting a lot of people into the space, it's often new eyes, right? And it's new eyes, it's new audience to maybe something that you've been on for a while already. So when we do choose people or try and find people, we try and look for the guys that are already making an authentic impact within culture. And then we kind of bring our forces together and we create something that's unique and elevated.
Love that, love that. Now, Hixie, your story is one that's almost exemplary in terms of basically eating from who you are, from the blog era where you were, pivotal in that space, to in the sneaker space, and you find yourself still there as well in a place where you can actually hand down some knowledge and some opportunities to people. You have done the revolutionary thing of never just going for something that's already built. What gave you that knack to say, I am going to assist in building? Every time you collaborated with new creators, new artists, it's never with somebody that's established on a billboard, but it's somebody that's you can see that there's a fire that's about to explode. What made you make that decision? Because it seems like it's a longer route than the traditional, let's just go with something that's built.
So slow cooked food is the best food, and I guess if you look at all the revolutionary things in life, like sneakers, t-shirts, when it came out, most people were, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? And over time, the visionaries that brought it out were validated with their wings, and I like just doing new shit. I like finding new things, It's easy. As a big brand, there's a lot of big names out there, there's a lot of big talent people that I have the budgets to just go sign, but that wouldn't be fun, you know what I'm saying? What does it say about you? I really like as Puma, we were the underdog for a long time, nobody doubted us for a long time, and I still carry that, I love being the underdog, I like making people go, what the fuck is he doing at first, and then they see the vision afterwards. Because that's just what culture is, if we keep doing the same thing over and over, it's just gonna die. Do you know what I'm saying? If everybody just keeps grabbing the low-hanging fruit, are you really good at what you do? You know what I'm saying? Or are you just using logic? I don't, music logic is good, but sometimes you gotta get a little crazy, you know? And also like I'm low-key like an artist, but like a failed artist, you know what I mean? So I still carry that with me. I like doing cool shit. Like I like just starting fires, you know? Like I said, I like people. If people don't go, what the fuck are you doing? If nobody see you, you know, you gotta make people feel things. And I just genuinely like being a kid from the culture. I see myself in a lot of the young kids, you know, I see whatever they do, whether it be music, fashion, whatever, I see myself in there, you know, and a lot of the times, like, I wish I had a Hayden when I was younger, you know, so, and I know what it's like to be the kid on the outside that can't find their way in, you know, I know what it's like to be gate-kept, you know, so if there's one brand that I can influence and break things down and like, just shine a little light onto an artist, I'm gonna do that with my resources, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Love that, love that, love that. Now, Maglera, you have done something that's also quite difficult, right? You have managed to maintain authenticity and commercialize it as well as experiment in the same breath, which is something that's very hard to do, especially if you have like a core base that meet you a certain way and they believe authenticity is how they meet you. Yet you've done the experimenting, you've done the commercializing, which may look like it's deviating from what the core is. What do you think is the secret recipe to that?
Let's just let my nigga Josh pass first. Shout out to Yo, he's the greatest.
Did you change the code?
Yeah.
What up, Josh? Hey, Josh!
Hey, Josh.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'll charge it to like what Hayden was saying, right? And one of the things that makes me and him friends outside of work is like we're just some crazy niggas, you know. My lexicon of dudes who gave me my style and my let me say my blueprints. Let's say locally we're talking like first Pitch Black, Bravo, Boomchev, Mapaputi, and that's like in Quiet. If we're talking hip hop, we're talking Spaceman, POC, Godessa, Emphatic Tabs, you know? I was like, if I can find this and be able to do it for my friends, but they must understand it, you know? That was always the intention. I think commercialization is intention, can I say that? Like if you're like,
sure.
If you want them to get it, you make sure they get it, right?
You gotta meet them where they are, you know?
Yeah, and I think a great example is like, when I did Never Ride, I knew that verse was gonna go. Like I remember when Mash played the song, Tato said to Mash, yo, play that song for Maglera. And I hit the verse in my mind and I said to Mash, he says it in his interviews, I was like, yo, I love you, you know? And he was like, why are you flexing? And I'm like, nah, cause I'm about to give you like that verse. You feel me? And we used to talk about this. We'd always say like, yo, when it comes, you're gonna know, you know? And I think when you have intention, the intention will place you in a place where when it's time to hit that mark, you will do it proper, you know? And I think when we talk about, just going back to the base of what you were saying, right? It's so nice when you find that moment, bro. It's so nice when you're like, oh shit, I actually found how to do it. And once you find it, bro, it's there. You can't lose it. It only goes up. You find different ways to do it. Like when Big Homie saying, oh, we were underdog brand for a while, you know. A lot of us within the brand were intentional about like making it go, right? But like sometimes that intention just made it fun. Like he didn't DM me, I was like, yo, what's your sizes? That was like first date. He wasn't romantic. He was like, yo, what's your sizes? You know? And I was like, oh yeah. And then he said sneakers, and I'm just a kid from the hood, bro. I obviously have my come up with Coolie. I'm excited a bit there. But that put a battery in my back. And I said to him, yo, please send me more stuff. I'll do more stuff. And then we just kept going until, you know, I was not to pat myself in the back, but you know, we made this shit hot too. You know, we put it in the streets. We made sure the kids know how to wear it. We come from tracksuit culture. We come from big homies who come from the underworld of street culture. And these tracksuits were already there. These joints was already there. They were what you bought. If your mother was at Edgar's and she was being nice. If she wasn't getting you, you know, the other joints that we won't mention because it is not the cash. But I'm just like, yo, yeah, you gotta want to do it to do it. Regardless of what comes while you're doing it, you gotta want to do it, including seeing the flames from doing it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, Rash, we spoke a bit just on the side there, and you mentioned that your trade is design, right? And how do you think you incorporate design thinking in everything that you do from a business perspective, and you know, in creating spaces like this?
Great question. So I think for me, design, you know, design is like almost like the root of everything, you know. And the difference between design and art is like art often comes from just self-expression, and there's nothing attached to art. You know, there can be, but art is just like, it's just what I feel in the moment, what I want to create with like no strings attached. Whereas design has a lot of intentionality behind it, a lot of structure behind it. And so I think the way that I incorporate design into what I do from a business point of view is got to do with the vision that you set before you. So this store would not exist if there wasn't a vision of, you know, what I saw. And what I saw was this, what we're experiencing right now, a store that's full of people doing talks like this, having creative workshops, and really a space for the city, a space for creatives to come together, network, learn from each other, hype each other up, support each other. That's what this store is about. But how design comes into play, it's intentionality and it's vision.
Amazing, amazing. And I think to Hayden and Maglera, the importance of giving your time to speak on creativity, to speak on craftsmanship in spaces like this, because as well as that, not a lot of people lend their time to this. You know, what is the goal for you guys to be in these spaces, and why do you avail yourself? It is appreciated.
I'll start. Like, I just want to say, like, I don't know if I owe myself to it. It's just my life, you know. I'm grateful that I get to earn a living in my passion, you know. So I wake up every day and, like, even though there's fucking shit and I want to fight people at the office and I'm going to fight Maglera, you know, his phone's off, I need something from him. I just remind myself, you know, like, be grateful that you get to do what you do every day. Like, I earn a living working in fashion, entertainment, and sneakers, bro. Like, how many people get to say they do that? And, like, even though shit gets hard sometimes and you hate it, because working your passion is hard. That's the part they don't tell you about. You know, like, when you work for a massive global company, you have to make business decisions, you know. It's often against what your heart wants. But, you know, this company employs 3,000 people, you got to think of a bigger picture, you know. So, like I said, I'm really grateful. I get to do what I get to do. I get to work with the people I get to work with, you know. I get to find people. I get to contribute to people's careers, you know. And that's a blessing, you know. Like, I don't take that for granted. So that's like why I'm here.
I think I wanna highlight a really crazy moment that me and Hayden shared, right? And first I'll start with the point about why I'm gonna tell the story. And it's like, the conversation exercises the muscle. So by the time you get to the exercise, you have somewhat something to do, right? It's what, 5 years now? This year, huh? We're doing 5 years. Yeah, you told me I can buy it today. I own Puma now in South Africa. 5 years ago, Hayden DM'd me and we spoke about clothing so much, bro, right? When I got to New York for the first time I went to New York, it was because ASAP Rocky sent me a message. They rang me to my phone, right, and said, yo, this is Flaco, I fuck with you. I won't say too much about the other part of the conversation, but it ends with me saying, because this is now the genius of me being myself. I come from the corner. I find a way to finesse everywhere, right? But at the same time, the first phone call was me and Hayden immediately after that. And Rocky's like, yo, I fuck with you, I fuck with your art, rah, rah, rah. I want to bring you down. And I'm like, yo, I'm actually Puma, you know? And I know you're Puma. So why don't you call the family, you know? And then H hit me up. He's like, yo, we pressing the button. I'm like, yeah. You're pressing the button.
I remember it was the next day was a public holiday, and because we were dealing with the US team, the call came in like I think 2 in the morning. Don't ask me why I was up. And even crazier, don't ask me why Maglera was up. And we had this conversation like 2 in the morning with Puma, Maglera, and ASAP. And we was like, yo, within 15 minutes, flights were booked,
You feel me? And this is the same kid who like, bro, when I was 15 years old, I got arrested for drug dealing. You feel me? When I was 18, never in my life did I think that I would be one of the people who speaks about township culture and how to give that to the world and how to make it palatable. And how to write a blueprint for the kids from the hood to say, yo, we are valid. We can exist in these spaces. And you can go from Osapaka Vasco, or you can go from taking a taxi from the township to go to school to like, yo, I'm with Flaco in his house, though. I'm looking at the Gucci material there. He's making Fatuks, Vaslaps, all of that. You feel me? And now we're going to the main thing, which is the importance of the conversation, right? The first time ASAP Rocky ever saw a Kabelo was me. You feel me? And I was wearing it with the white socks, because in Maglera we don't wear it like dudes with the butt naked. It's a little crazy, And he's like, yo, my son got on the Bruce Lee's, what is that? And you see, this is a conversation starting. I'm like, nah, this is not Bruce Lee, this is and it comes from, and now already our lifestyle is within the conversation, you feel me? And it's the same with everything, like, whenever we talk about shoes with Hayden is like a phone book for shoes, bro. By the time we even got to like these joints, and you told me a story about suede once, right? But I don't know if it's this exact one.
So this exact one is the Charles F. It's the finest suede in the world.
It's the finest suede in the world.
Yeah, from a tannery that's 130 years old in England.
It's from what? From Italy?
A tannery.
Oh, from a tannery.
That's 150 years old in England.
What's a tannery?
With
yeah.
With a tan liver.
Oh, see there, But I remember these from watching ETV and SABC1. Whenever you see black movies and you see black men in the hood and they get their first joints, when they had the rope chains, this is the first silhouette of shoe.
B-boy.
Yeah, the B-boys, right? Even though I don't come from that culture, I know it enough to know that this is important in the history of black people and hip-hop. Yeah. And that all comes from conversation.
Super fire. Now, lastly, I want to speak on something that you mentioned, and this is something that you mentioned before, is staying ready, like for every moment. You mentioned this is a 2 a.m. call, and I remember you mentioning when you had to record your verse for Boiti.
Yeah, for 018. You remember that story, right?
For 018, yeah. And the way that you had to, the mic that you had to put it in the
Can I tell them the story?
Please tell them the story, and just link it to the art of just always staying ready for the moment.
So this is still when I'm coming up, and Boiti she was finishing a project, and I remember PH hits me up, Bash hits me up. He's like, yo, dude, we're finishing Boiti's project, but we need the verse. It's around this time, bro. It is literally around this time. I'm at my boys. I'm sleeping on my boy's couch. We got like maybe 3 songs out with Cooley. People know my name a bit. And important part, people must know that when I was with Cooley, we were partners. And for my half, I still struggle. I think a big part is that when people meet people who can like give them an opportunity, they mistake that for like, oh, this is my father. No, I want to be independent. You want to own your product. So you must live the way you must live to own that product, because you cannot piggyback on someone and want to own when they had to feed you, house you. So I was like, no, I don't want the car, I don't want the house, because I want my 50%. I want my intellectual property, right? But going back to this, PH is like, we need that verse tonight, And I'm like, yo, it's like 6:30. I call my boy Explosive. I say to him, yo, bro, I need to record. He's like, yo, I got the mic, but I don't have a filter. No, I don't have a mic. So I go borrow a mic, right? I get someone to give me a lift. This guy puts a pin on top of the mic to stop the P's, right? I wrote that verse in 15 minutes. I shit you not. And that verse changed my life because of being ready, because of exercising the muscle. Because when you exercise the muscle, it's ready to run whenever it's time to go.
I think with that being said, I'm going to open up the floor for some Q&A. How many questions are we able to take? 5. Ah, that's a beautiful number. 5 questions, but 1, 2 in the front here. Okay. While we spot those, Zola, you can rock. Alright, I'm gonna give them my mic. Yeah. Good sir.
Yo, this is Venati Mona from Capcus Media. We cover creative stories around Cape Town. So I would like to know, my brother Maglera, how has Puma inspired your art? Because your music is very generational in what you do, what you talk about in music, and also like how you've worked with the diaspora to go into Maglera tapes. There's a transition there, and also like the sound, you can hear that like it's compelling now to everyone else. But before that, you were always about the grungy, the roughness, you know. Now that like you are working with Puma, how has that inspired your art?
I think, shout outs, I can hear you actually know the music, love. Maglera tapes is like really close to my moments with Hayden and the family. Shout out Brett, you know. Shout out to the rest of the family at Puma. But Maglera tapes is actually a fashion tape mixed with conscious music, mixed with just South African music, right? And I spent like 5 years with my dog, you feel me? And in those 5 years, we are talking, even the word silhouette, you know, I learned from conversations with H and the boys. Shout out to my boys from PumaSA, shout out Sadiq, shout out Funky, you know. Cape Town actually taught me a lot about fashion, you know. Joburg did too, right? But like when I talk thread count, when I talk heaviness of clothing, it comes from Cape Town. And with Puma specifically, there was such a big space for me to be, you know. Obviously within the bounds of also now learning how business works and doing stuff respective too. But when I started with Puma, I was modeling, you know, and Hayden and the boys opened up so much for me to a point where now we have certain things that allow me to actually creatively design and direct how I bring out pieces, even if there's a what do you call that thing? A brief. Even if there's a brief. You know, H will always say, yeah, but do it your way. Give them our world, you feel me? And letting me grow there. Like the biggest part is they let me grow. We have stuff that we do and it goes off. We have stuff that we do and it's just okay. But you will see 2 lights from International and they'll call like, yo, International is losing their minds about this, even if it wasn't for home specifically. You feel me? But I think overall, more than anything, bro, I won't lie, just like the back end of fashion, I've learned from a lot of places, but in terms of like apparel, sportswear, and taking sportswear, putting it in like luxe, putting it in lifestyle, and a lot about, especially like collabs, bro. I learned so much about collabs because every time these guys drop a collab, Hayden will tell me to the T about your New York brands and how they collab. I actually met Kid Super because of those collabs you guys had. And before I didn't know him like that. Like obviously like I might have seen the name and stuff, you know. But when I went to New York, I was wearing Puma Kid Super when I went to the store. And that was such a great conversation starter. And it just opened that world for me so much of print, because you used to print, right? You still do. That thing, what is it when you
The screen printing.
Yeah. H put me onto that, you feel me? And it's a lot of things, like we have a lot of fun at the back with Puma. You guys just haven't seen yet because it's still very much like in me learning and processing some stuff. But I think more than anything, Puma expanded my lexicon on fashion.
Last question. I just want to know with Resh and Higgsy, how do they collab in this Puma collaboration? How does it interlink with a big brand and a brand that is for the culture?
Yeah, I mean, collabs is always tricky. Like, there's no formula for it, right? It's just what makes sense at the moment and what the business needs. So yeah, everything is different. So it's like, what business problem is this collab going to solve? You know? So yeah.
Yeah, I think for us it's always about coming together, you know, to sort of establish, you know, entities. coming together to create something of value to give back. So I think there's always going to be that value exchange. So it's no good coming together, creating something without the intent of giving value back, because it's not always about, you know, selling, sales, but it's like, are you actually producing something of quality and something that's going to benefit, you know, ultimately the consumer.
There's one question over there, and unfortunately that question took took your question, man. You're gonna have to talk to him, man.
Let's do it.
Should we do it?
Yeah, come on. Don't start.
Okay, we can make it the last one, but you, my homie, we're gonna do something special for you. Yeah. Let's go.
Question to Maglera. I go by the name of Kyle DJ. I'm from Ponyuka, 7750. Sure, brother. A quick question, man. Please summarize the moment when you saw yourself, no, man, I'm kind of huge here in South Africa.
Dog, I started rapping when I was 10 years old. I am 32 now. I've been rapping for 21 years, 20 almost. I blew up in the Northwest first, then I blew up in Joburg, then I blew up nationally. But I think you gotta know from the beginning. I knew I was that nigga in grade 4 when I was rapping in the mirror. And I won't lie, I saw that already. But I think the most definitive moment is definitely Never Ride. When that happened and like I saw the hood rapping verse for verse, even like the way they speak is Xhosa, when they speak Sizulu, yes. You know, then I understood like it's now broader than just what I know and who I am.
Beautiful. Yes, sir, Steed.
Alright, guys. So I'm posing my question to the entire panel. As creators, how does your autonomy bridge between creativity and corporate culture, pretty much?
Yeah, when my dog ain't playing.
He said lexicon, bro.
Homie said lexicon for real.
Yeah, you started this shit, finish it.
Can you expand on that question, my friend? Because when you say autonomy, are you saying like my design? Like
your design, how Haiti produces his stuff, how Fred produces his stuff.
Yeah, and can you repeat the question again?
How does your guys' autonomy bridge the gap between creativity and the suits corporate culture?
Oh yeah, I like that question. Sometimes you also just gotta bulldoze them, you know? Shout out. And this is my thing. All three of the guys here, you know, I'm just like a spoiled little brother, bro. I won't hold you, you know? Fred taught me so much about television. Fred taught me a lot about just even like, Fred used to love me so much, he would tell me when I was doing too much. Like, yo, bro, we are not in the streets, you know, because you need to compact that. And H is from the streets too. He knows so much about what's happening in the streets, and he knows how to take people and usher them into that bigger world. So I think he's the best for this question, actually.
Yes. My secret is I don't give a fuck. Like, I just do stuff what I want to do, and then I say sorry afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we signed Maglera. Who's Maglera? Don't worry.
Yeah.
Campaign's going live next week. Yeah, so it's like a lot of the time, like it's very tricky. And I think I'm to the point, I'm like 9 years at Puma, so at first it was figuring each other out, and like once you get your first win, your second win, now it's like, yo, literally autonomy is the word. Like, my colleagues will tell you, like, nobody bothers me. Like, just ask me when am I delivering the goods, you know? So that's, I think, to answer the question, you build it over time, you build trust over time, and then you take it from there.
Yo, can I just ask, when you say that, can we say that building something that's trustable is the answer to that in terms of the gap?
Craft.
Yeah, for sure. So craft, so it goes back to a question about craft.
Rest, you want to pick that? Sorry.
Yeah, from my side, I think trust has a lot to do with it. But always know that, you know, people don't necessarily trust easy, and especially in a corporate environment, trust has to be earned. And so often in the early phase of, I guess, your career or impact or you use the word autonomy. I think autonomy changes depending on the environment that you're in, depending on the leader that's above you, or the person that has kind of put you in that position. And I think it takes great leaders to instill autonomy into the people that they lead. And I think it's a very special thing. It's not very common. In my personal situation, when I came in, I had no sort of corporate retail stuff behind me. I didn't come from that world. I came from a creative world, agency world, actually music and entertainment as well, 15 years of my life. So I understood that world very well, but I had to come in and I had to prove myself in the environment that I'm in here. This store is a miracle that it's even here right now. They were like, I broke every retail rule in the book, putting the store here. But once it was built and people could see, it was like, okay, cool, tick. That's one box checked, And then everything after that, I mean, I'm blessed to have an amazing team that kind of goes on that journey with me. You can ask them, there's always new ideas coming. I have a vision for this, I want to build this app, I want to do this. And sometimes the guys don't get it, the suits talk about it. And so you just got to kind of keep creating things and don't be scared to fail either. So, failure is just another opportunity to learn. But when you hit the things that work, you kind of build up this trust bucket, and then the more trust you have, the more autonomy you have at the end of the day.
This is more so for a Puma question. I do sport and culture content, so it revolves around that. We've seen like the rise of local recently over the last few years. We've seen kits being designed not just for the field, but also for everyday wear. So I just want to know, how has Puma managed to tap into that shift, but still keep its cultural identity locally and globally?
That's a good question. So I think it actually just goes back to what we're talking about earlier about heritage, right? So like Puma is like, let's say if another brand who doesn't have football heritage starts to look local, it's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? But like we've got the backstory. Like even if you look like Dr. Puma had his own boots in South Africa, Jomo Sono his own boots. Those boots still get made today and get sold. So we have our heritage here, we have our identity. And also like it's important that you leverage your heritage, but it's also very important that you move forward, and continue expanding on that law. So I guess it's going into what you've done, telling the world that, this is, it's a trend, but we did this back in the day. We're gonna do it now still. So I guess that's the, and you hear the word archive a lot now in fashion. So we luckily, brands like us and the other two, we won't mention their names, we can tap into that stuff, and you see it now. I mean, like I'll mention a name like Umbro. Like Umbro's on a wave right now, because they have that heritage. So yeah, man, it's like credibility. We've done this. This shit's new. It might be new to new, but we did it back then, They were doing this stuff before everybody in this room was born. Myself included, So yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Heritage is strong currency. I think we can agree and we can end it there. Please give a round of applause for our amazing panelists, Rash, Hayden, Maglera. Alright, we're still gonna vibe out, guys. Have some burgers, have some drinks. If you can catch these guys, please talk to them and get some more nuggets. Love.
Like outside of the big events, let me understand all this. It's like